You guys remember Kirby, right? That weird pink fluff ball that inhales people, weapons, and food, which he then proceeds to violently regurgitate? Yeah, that one. Well, he has a new game out for the Wii U, and it's Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. So, how does this return to Dreamland hold up in comparison to the other 23 titles in the series? Well, let's roll on and find out, shall we? So this game begins in Dreamland like usual, although this time around, everything is in claymation for some reason. Then, as Kirby's rolling around, he loses his apple. After chasing it, a giant... you know what it looks like. Opens up in the sky and sucks up all of the color. Then, this weird paintbrush comes along and helps Kirby and Waddle Dee escape from Master Hand and Crazy Hand here. Kirby, refusing to eat any apple without color, then sets off on a quest to restore the color to Dreamland. What's that? You wanted the actual non-smartass explanation of what happened? Then go to Wikipedia because the game doesn't explain what's going on either unless you look through the menus. So the gameplay of this title is controlled entirely by the stylus and gamepad. Kirby can only be moved by tapping him or by drawing a path for him via his friendly paintbrush. Because for whatever reason, Kirby occasionally forgets how to walk in these games. By the way, did anyone ever play Kirby Tilt and Tumble? This has literally nothing to do with this review, I'm actually just really curious. Anyway, Kirby must travel along these paths, collect stars, and roll into enemies in his way. What's also cool about this paintbrush, however, is she can be used to manipulate environmental hazards, such as waterfalls, lava, and lasers. Also, collecting 100 stars allows Kirby to go Super Saiyan and break through barriers, along with dealing major damage to enemies and bosses. These barriers typically hide treasure chests, which give the player trophies of their fallen foes. Overall, this game consists of 7 chapters which all contain 3 levels and a boss battle. But after finishing these levels, one can then complete challenges based around said level. So, now for the reviewing. I would be lying if I said that I didn't find these graphics to be adorable. The claymation style heavily lends itself to the overall motif of the Kirby series, and it makes for some very clever set pieces and transitions. Gameplay-wise, well, this is a 3DS game. Now some of you may be objecting already. You may be thinking, but E-Dog, this game came out on the Wii U. I know what I said, and I mean it. This is a 3DS game. But why do I say this? Because the game is played entirely with the Wii U's gamepad and stylus. You never touch the joysticks, and the only button you will ever push is the start button to pause. So when I was playing this game, I had my head hunched down the entire time, never looking up at the TV. Now, I could be crazy, but when I'm playing an entire video game on a handheld peripheral, that tells me a few things. Such as, this game is better suited for a handheld console. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the implementation of the gamepad in Wii U titles. Pikmin 3's map makes for some very streamlined gameplay. Wind Waker HD lets players equip and unequip items without having to pause, and even Sonic Lost World made the use of the color powers much more entertaining. And again, some of you may be thinking, oh, E-Dog, you're making too big a deal of this. E-Dog, it's just a kid's game. E-Dog, stop having rhetorical conversations with yourself. Look, all I'm saying is that relying on one gameplay feature of a console makes this game feel like little more than a gimmick. I do not care for this. But aside from this, the gameplay actually works pretty flawlessly. Drawing your own paths can make for a very unique experience, and as you advance throughout the levels, you'll see some very clever elements to the gameplay. Although, many of the cooler elements are thrown in at the very last minute. But hey, at least the bosses are cleverly designed, such as Wispy Woods, Hoop Lagoon, and the Claken. Then you get to fight Wispy Woods, Hoop Lagoon, and... Really? Really? We're recycling bosses now? Really? Recycling bosses in any video game is lazy. Doing so in a video game with 7 levels is inexcusable. Granted, these bosses are pretty clever and do make for some outside-the-box thinking for success, but after the first time around, their weaknesses don't even change. The first stage of the final boss, on the other hand, is fantastic. This boss really makes you use the tricks you've learned along the way in order to achieve victory. The story of this game? Do you really care? Does it really matter? Is it not obvious that this plot was just thrown together so that the game can make sense in the end? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then I can't help you. The soundtrack, on the other hand, really is excellent. I really do enjoy the OSTs to the Kirby games, as they convey a peaceful and uplifting dreamscape. This greatly enhances the gameplay experience and makes for a great title to play when unwinding at the end of the day. Alright, it may seem like I'm picking on this game, because I kinda am, but really, this game isn't too bad. Everything that it sets out to do, it does spectacularly. This is just an example of one of those games that, while decent, absolutely did not impress me in any way, shape, or form. So if you like what you see and want to give this game a try, then more power to you. I, on the other hand, will be keeping myself busy by playing Wind Waker for the 4th time. See you next time.